Okay, I'm gonna see if this works. I mean, I know the video works, but like, what I mean is, ow, seatbelt in my hip. Not so fun. But I mean, like, see if it flows. That's what I mean. Sorry about the shaky camera. So, I came up the mountain initially because, like I said in a previous video, my family died. Like, they all died. Most of my friends, my best friend, my great aunt, like everybody. It was intense, no doubt. And, going through COVID too, it was, people were operating out of fear, not love. Mostly fear, not love. Even people who I knew were, very loving people. Is that going to cover up the mic? They were messed up. And like, I get that, I'm not discounting that there were some things to be afraid of. Like, it was not, well, I mean, I wouldn't say to be afraid of, but it was like, there were things that needed more, what's the word, like, they needed to be examined. They really needed to be looked at, and closely too. It wasn't like it, just a cursory check on things was going to work. And, I really slipped through the cracks that way. I got lost, and I don't know if that's covering up the mic or not. I mean, it is, but like, I don't know if you can still hear me. I really slipped through the cracks in the sense that, I had no help. I didn't have anywhere to turn. And because everybody else was having such a hard time, I mean, most people were having a really hard time. I did really well up until my little brother died. Yeah, that was a rough one. Kind of lost my mind for a little while. It wasn't completely unexpected, although I had given myself a reading with my, not tarot cards, but a different deck of cards that I had, and the cards told me somebody's deathly ill and they're gonna die. And I have to say that the last person I thought it was my little brother, because he was so young. He was 36, and I knew he was drinking and that kind of thing, but like, I just, I ended up calling one of my exes, and because he's much older and like, older than me, and checking on him, but not my brother. Like, yeah. So anyway, yes, I'm hanging out in my bikini today because it's like 90 degrees up here today. I'm not trying to sweat to death. So I really did slip through the cracks in COVID. I mean, even amongst my friends, I really didn't, the people that I called friends at the time, I don't really talk to many of them now. But there wasn't anyone to help me. I mean, literally no one. There was no one. I had nothing. I was living in a 2-door Honda Civic with my dog up here on the mountain, just hot. And it was, summertime, and it was miserable. 3, 4, 5 on the clock when I said that. So, I really didn't have many choices. I thought to myself, I really don't know what to do here. So, and I knew that God could heal me. I knew that I could heal myself with God's help. I knew that I could do it. And, after there was an accident on a highway here. It's a famous highway, very dangerous. People die on it every year. I mean, like a lot of people, not, like enough to make it a famous highway for dying on, basically. And so I came upon this accident when I was driving in the Honda Civic, and I had no heater in that car. I had no AC, nothing. I mean, the fan didn't even work. So it was hard. It was really rough. Nothing. We just didn't have anything. We didn't. I was living on disability. I still am, but like, I didn't have much money ever. Like, I was not doing very well. And, between that and the grief, I was really a mess. And, yes, I'm wearing boxers. But the thing about it was that I was lost. I was really lost. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what to do about any of the things I was experiencing. I didn't know how to deal with a lot of it. I didn't know how to... I didn't know. I just didn't know. And all I did know was that healing my broken heart was the best bet I had, because I knew what my mother's autopsy report said. I knew what my brother's autopsy report said. And frankly, I know what killed them both was a broken heart. So I said about healing my broken heart because I didn't know how else I was going to survive. And I genuinely I wasn't afraid of dying, but I knew that, I didn't roll down the windows. Oh, good God. Excuse me. I knew that if I didn't heal, that, potentially I was going to have the same, outcome as my mother and brother. And, most of the other people I knew had died of cancer and other things that, were like more or less preventable kind of things. So the whole healing of the broken heart, excuse me, Moo. The whole healing of the broken heart is such an esoteric thing to do. So I was really like on my own with it, completely on my own. I had nowhere to turn. Didn't really have any friends, didn't have anyone really that give a shit about us. I was, like I said, I was broke. I didn't even have anybody to call and ask $20 from. No one. There was just nobody. The people that had made themselves available to me had abandoned me. I was put in a position where I was told by multiple people that unless I had a drug or alcohol problem, I couldn't get help. I couldn't get into a shelter. I couldn't this and that and the other thing. Now, of course, that turns out it wasn't true. But that's how messed up my brain was, that I didn't even check. I didn't even call for myself, I did call for myself, but the information I got seemed to match up with the information from the other people I'd gotten. And so what did I do? Well, I found my local neighborhood drug dealer and I bought a bag of drugs. And I don't think I actually paid for it, but whatever. I didn't pay for it in any way. Just be clear about that. I didn't trade anything for it. And I spent the next 6 weeks like high as a kite, basically. And it was horrible. It was a bad experience. I don't recommend it. Don't do it. And then I find out, I go and I check myself into a center, right? And they will not help me. And it was in that moment, I remember when they came out of the office and they said, yeah, we're not gonna help you. And they told me point blank that they thought I had been using drugs to get help. I was like, what? Wait. So I wasted all that time. And not only that, but it damaged my reputation with the people that I knew, because they knew I was doing something. It was a clusterfuck. Okay. So then the few people that did, that were picking up the phone, that were talking to me still, and that I was talking to, they even dropped me. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, I can't win for losing. I was really at the bottom then. And it wasn't because of drugs, because I've never had a drug addiction problem or an alcohol problem, never. So I thought to myself, well, shit, if I can't get it, I can't get help. And I'm being really honest here. So live it up in the comments. I don't really give a shit. This is here to heal people. So be critical all you want. That's your energy. But I support you in it. Whatever energy you send towards me, I support you in that, because whether you bless us or curse us, I support you in that. Either way, I'm blessed. So it doesn't really bother me either way. So anyway, but I know that this message will help someone, and potentially keep them from falling down a rabbit hole that they don't need to go down. So anyway, I did the, oh my God, I was really at rock bottom, not because of the drugs so much, but because I had tried everything, literally everything, to get help. And then I'm turned away, and I thought, oh my God, and then I had wasted 6 more weeks of my life, for nothing. And I thought, well, you know what? I just can't even do this anymore. And I just took off. I left. I left my hometown. I didn't really hang out too much, with anyone. I spent time here and there and the other place with random people, but nobody that gave a shit about us. So Then I found myself, and of course I was, I got myself sober. I wasn't even, because that was never an issue for me. It's never been an issue for me. So I, you know, I mean, I really had to fucking scratch my head at that one. It was like, damn, I can't even get help. I can't even, fake a drug problem apparently. So I thought, wow, this is messed up. And like I said, I had wasted 6 weeks doing this. And it was, it was a silly thing to do, really. Now, in retrospect, everything's 2020 in retrospect. But the thing about it was, I was really just left at square one all over again, but even further back, because then I had lost the faith of the couple people that I had had in my life. And I thought, oh, this is like the fuckery of it all, and I was really low, really depressed, really upset. And I kept finding myself in my car telling my dog, I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know who's going to help us, I don't know any of that, but I know that I'll do whatever it takes to get us out of this. I will do whatever it takes. And it was kind of a prayer and a mantra, and it was like all and an affirmation and everything, and also, consoling my poor dog that, I had the wherewithal to make this happen. I didn't know how, I didn't know where it was going to come from, I didn't know when it was going to happen, I didn't know any of those things. I had no answers. I just knew that I would do whatever it took. And that was where I had to go. Like, I was so low and in so much grief, so much pain, so much depression, so much anxiety. I was eating my feelings. I mean, I was eating a lot, and I was gaining weight, and I didn't really know what to do about it except exercise, right? But then I didn't want to exercise. I was miserable. I didn't want to. And I had no motivation either to do that. And so I kept finding myself, at that, especially in the mornings when I would wake up and see my dog's face, and she'd just be so happy to see me. And I was like, you know what? I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know where, but I'm going to fix this. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And, yeah, so one item, I had some weird experience down at anyway, it's one of the, like, places where they offer services for people that are homeless. And I had driven away from that area pissed off. I was angry. Like, I remember I was just angry at the world. When you're just pissed off, you're just mad at the world, and you just, nobody can do any right. You can't do any right. And it was mad, angry with anger at myself, but also, anger at the complete meltdown of our system that is supposed to be there to support people, in any way that they need it, really. And like basic things like food and shelter and they were unavailable to me. I could not make heads or tails of this. I was so mad. And so I'm driving up this highway, very dangerous highway, and I'm mad. Like, I'm really mad, like I said, and just kind of yelling and cursing in the car, and my dog's like, and I come upon this accident. And at first it looked like maybe just the hillside, like, brush was on fire. And then I realized, I looked a little bit closer because it was dark. It was like the sun was going down. The sun had gone down. And I realized there's a man in a truck burning, like the truck's on fire. And I thought, oh, fuck. And I looked at my dog, and she looked at me, and I jumped out of the car, and I ran up to the truck, and I could see right away that this was not going to be good. And, that it wasn't a good situation. It could get really bad if I didn't help. There were already 3 or 4 men who had also stopped to help and gotten out of their cars, because a lot of people stopped their cars, but they didn't get out to help. They basically either sat there and watched us, or they filmed it with their fucking phones. Zombies, total psychos. And anyway, so the fire gets worse, and I look at the situation, and it had rained a couple nights before, and I didn't know what to do. I started digging in the ground, because the dirt's still wet from it raining, and I'm digging in the ground to get wet dirt and throw it into the wheel well. And my hands were just numb. It was so cold that night. It was November 17th, the night of November 17th. It was cold, and I was just doing what I could. And I peeked around the edge of the truck, and I looked, and I saw that the whole highway was covered in whatever it was that was flammable, and it was just fire everywhere. And I realized really quickly what I was doing was futile. It was not helping. So I ran back to my car, and I had to take the lock out of my trunk. Like, I had locked the keys in my trunk is what I did. This was a couple weeks earlier, but I had managed to pound the lock out of the trunk, but anyway, everything was very difficult. It wasn't, nothing. I couldn't even like open my trunk to like just open it with the trunk release. Like what I'm saying is what I was doing was not easy. And so I managed to get the trunk open, and I had bought a case of water from 7-Eleven the night before, and they were not like the real small bottles, but like the larger bottles. And I start hurling them across the highway, like as many as I could. And then because these guys that were helping him already, they had full sweatshirts, like, with the hoodie and everything, and pants and, full tennis shoes on, or whatever they had on, boots or whatever. And all I had on was a shirt and my khaki pants and a pair of flip-flops. That was it. So, I was not prepared for this at all. So I jump out, I'm hurling, I throw the water bottles across the way, and I'm hoping that they hear me, because I'm screaming, cover yourselves with the water, so they can get closer to the fire. And they didn't hear me. And I'm very out of breath at this time, so I run back to the accident where the man, and by this time, most of the car was engulfed. I mean, his truck was engulfed. I mean, the cab was. And the men who were trying to pull him out had to back off. And he was screaming. I mean, bloody murder. He was screaming. He was burning to death. He was burning in his car. So he was screaming. And I remember those 4 men, they turned their backs as he was burning. And I thought, I can't turn my back on him. As crazy as that sounds, I didn't want to watch him burn. Don't get me wrong. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But I couldn't leave him. I couldn't leave him to die by himself. And so I watched. And there's no weird fascination, of me watching him. It wasn't like that. I wasn't filming anything. I was running around screaming at people. There was even the man who was on scene, and I've talked to him since. He and I are still in contact, but that man and I yelled, I ran up to him, and I screamed in his face. I grabbed him by both arms and shook him. Nothing. He just stood there. And I was just like, what? I could not understand why people were just standing there. Like, the thing that I couldn't understand was there were like probably anywhere from 70 to 100 people on the scene the whole time, of the accident. And then there were at least 50 people like parked and standing there watching. And nobody would help us. And what was frustrating me was that if people had just helped us, he wouldn't have had to go through that. We would have been able to get him out if more people had helped us, but they didn't. So it was weird. I mean, it was like being in a crowd of zombies. I'm not even kidding. It was one of those experiences that you just never ever forget. Not only because of the severity of it, but also because it was just so uncannily strange. Like, how can you just stand there? How can you just sit there in your car and watch this person burn? You're not doing anything, not helping us. It was hard to understand what was happening. So at that point, I was just standing there watching this man burn in his car, and I didn't really start freaking out until he stopped screaming, because I knew from being very close to death multiple times in my life that he was giving up, and that was troubling to me more than anything. And so I started screaming even louder when he stopped screaming. And, I wasn't just screaming like, oh, I was screaming, what the fuck? Well, help him. Nothing. So finally, I'm watching, this whole horrific scene go down. And, he pushes himself out of the truck himself. Nobody pulled him out. People tried to pull him out, but we couldn't get him out. He pushes himself out and he hits the pavement, and the car's like on its side. So, he had, 3 or 4 feet to drop, and he hit the ground, and I was like, he's out. And I ran up, just so ecstatic that he was out of the fucking burning car. And I ran up to him, and I grabbed him underneath both of his arms, and I tried to yank him back, but I wasn't strong enough. And I only had these flip-flops on. My feet were sweaty and everything else, so I couldn't really do anything. And I yelled, "Yeah, fucking help me!" And the 3 or 4 guys that had been helping before ran up and grabbed him, and I went and I got some water bottles, and I said, put him down in the dirt on the side of the road. There was like really like new grown grass. It was just starting to sprout, and I thought that would be like a soft place to lay him down, or softer than the pavement. And I got on top of him, like not on top of him, but I got next to him, got real close, and I took some of the water and put it on his lips and kind of tried to wash, not wash, but like, rinse his head off, because he had a laceration on his head and he was bleeding everywhere. I had blood all over me. But I knew that the next danger that he was going to face after the fire was shock. Shock will kill you just as fast as anything else, really. I mean, it's deadly. Shock is deadly. It kills a lot of people, and even if you survive the initial trauma of whatever your body went through, shock is a real danger, serious danger. And I knew that, so I held his hands and I talked to him, and I asked him 3 times, is anybody else in the car with you? Is anybody else in the car with you? No, no, no. And then he said, call somebody. I'm not going to say the name. And I didn't know who that was, but I kept telling him, you made it, you did it, you're going to be all right, you're going to be all right, you're going to be okay, you're going to make it, you're going to make it, just consoling him as best I could. And I had to put the fire out on his legs, because, I could see the bones in his toes. He was burnt badly. Later, I found out that he lost a leg. He wouldn't have had to lose that leg if I had had a fire extinguisher, if other people had helped us. If anybody else had had a fire extinguisher, he wouldn't have had to lose that leg. But like, you really can't like beat yourself up about things like that. But later, like, a couple months later, I did go and buy, it's right behind this pillow, but I bought a $90 fire extinguisher, so I have a fire extinguisher in my car all the time now. So anyway, it was, I remember the man who I was screaming at had helped me. Him and his wife took my car, and I hope nobody's ashamed of me saying, that what I did to try to get myself help, and but I'm not ashamed of it. So like, I did what I had to do, and then I didn't get help, so whatever. But I was very unhealed at the time, and I remember thinking, because I was very sick from the smoke inhalation. I had inhaled a bunch of smoke from his burning truck, and I thought, oh my God, like I couldn't breathe. And I couldn't smoke cigarettes. I couldn't do anything. I was laid out in the car with my dog, and I just couldn't do anything. And I remember sitting in the car for the next like 3 or 4 nights, and I couldn't breathe. I was making myself like tea with cayenne pepper and things like that to help my bronchi, my lungs, and nothing was really helping. And I knew that I was pretty bad, like pretty bad. I wasn't doing very well, and the smoke inhalation was bad. And I went to the hospital like a second and third time, because they had me there for like 12 hours the first night, that night, the night of the accident. And I was released, and oh, my shirt stinks. I'm still gonna put it on. But no, I'm not. It's really warm. But I felt like, hero. People were calling me a hero. They were, like, right away. I remember when they wheeled me into the hospital, because I went with the paramedics to get treatment for the smoke inhalation, and I didn't have burns, but like my whole body was pink. And if you look at the picture of me in the newspaper, you can see like I looked like I had a low-grade sunburn all over me from being that close to the fire. And I remember when they wheeled me into the hospital, it was like all the nurses and doctors were lined up on a wall, and they were just looking at me with a tremendous amount of admiration. And they like took my blood and everything else. Of course, I like I've mentioned before, I don't have a problem with drugs or alcohol. I never have, and I never will. But they did like full lab workups on me and the whole 9 yards. And I was, I was a mess. I don't think I was sick, like bronchitis or like laryngitis or any of that kind of sick, but like I was not well. I was not okay. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know, I still was basically in the same position in my mentally and emotionally as I was before the accident. But this was like more intense because I had put myself at risk for this stranger, and I was really hurting bad, and I couldn't even barely take care of my dog. And even the hospital like offered me very minimal help. And I really didn't know what to do from there. I went and I told the people that I knew. I was hanging out with, one or two people at the time, and they had helped me because I had been really broke, and I didn't have any money, and I was, barely able to eat and things like that. And, I was spending a lot of money on food for my dog, and I was doing the best I can. And a couple days later, I had gone to the hospital like a second and third time, like I said. And then a couple days later, the man from the accident, I got my car back, of course, from them, and got my dog back, obviously. And I just, I just kept going. I didn't know what else to do. And, people kept calling me a hero and this and that. And I was like, yeah, but what, so what? What good is that? And kind of thing. And, still very unhealed, very, jaded and cynical. And I thought, great. So now I've done this great thing that everybody, like, really admires, but I'm in a worse position than I was before. And I thought, well, this is messed up. This is not a reason to be a hero kind of thing. And, and that unhealed, like, cycle of trauma kind of thing. And, anyway, the gentleman from the accident, one of the gentlemen there, him and his wife had taken my car. They offered to get me a hotel room, like Motel 6, nothing fancy. And, I was like, yes, please. I need a shower. I need to lay down. I need to be, because I didn't have a heater in the Honda Civic. I needed to have heat, to heal my body. And, I needed water, like running water. I needed some certain things, and I needed to rest. I needed to lay down. I was sleeping in my front seat, sitting up. I was not even okay to begin with, let alone after this accident. I was really not okay. And then shortly after, I think I was in the Motel 6 for like a day, and then the second day, because he got me a hotel room for the next day on his personal credit card. And he said, why don't I set up a GoFundMe account for you? And I was like, yeah, it's probably not going to work. It's not going to come up with anything. And he set it up, and a couple days later, it had like $10,000 in it. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was really shocked, and really, it hadn't set. I was shocked. I was in shock still from the accident, and also I had never seen that much money ever in my life. And so, excuse me, my nose is itchy. Ugh, and it just like happens randomly. I'm like, ooh, itchy nose. And then it goes away. I don't know. Anyway, so. And I'm thinking to myself, God, I went through all this. And this is amazing, right? And it's starting to sink in. And then, a couple days after that, a man from Subaru contacts me. And I'm like, what do you want? Kind of thing. Like, I don't know what you want from me. And he's telling me, we heard your story, and we think you're a hero, and we want to give you a car. And I was like, what? What? Like, this is amazing, right? And so, like, the back and forth between me and the car people, the Subaru people, kind of, like, went on for a little while. And I stayed a total of 2 weeks in the Motel 6. And, I mean, it was amazing. By the end of the time I had stayed there, I had almost $30,000 in my GoFundMe account. I had a car that wasn't brand new, but it was brand new to me. What? They had rebuilt the entire engine. They had done all these things, and I was like maybe it was worth it to go through everything I went through. You know, maybe this was totally amazing, like amazingly worth it. And of course it was. But like at the time, I still was so unhealed that I couldn't really, I wanted to believe, but I couldn't. I wanted to, but I couldn't. I wanted to, but I couldn't. You know, like that. Kind of a push and pull thing. And so, I decided, well, you know, what are we going to do? And I was like, well, let's go find home, because I had been having dreams of my dog leading me home. Like, you know, and I was astonished that this was happening. And, so, you know, I'm like, all right, well, let's get on the road. And, you know, I knew that they were going to air the news footage, and I had been through a lot of stalking, gang stalking. I had been through a lot of stuff, like a lot that I haven't really talked about yet. And, you know, it really like left me in this like, ugh, you know, I didn't want to be around other people. I didn't trust other people. You know, I was still very unhealed, and, I just, you know, I just wanted to get out of town. You know, I wanted to get out of Dodge, kind of thing. And so I did. And my dog and I went on a 30-day road trip. Like, you know, we went everywhere. I went from here, my hometown, to Arizona. Went all over Arizona, Sedona, Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta's not in Arizona, but Sedona. We went to Grand Canyon. We went somewhere else. Went and saw like Tombstone, Arizona. Like, you know, just kind of places to go. It was the middle of winter, so it was really cold. I mean, I drove through a couple blizzards, I think like 2 blizzards. And, you know, I was just happier than a pig in shit. I mean, I just was happy, you know, but I was still very unhealed. And so I you know, I ended up coming back to my hometown, and just kept living. You know, I really didn't, you know, people were, you know, pretty impressed with me. I was, you know, and I was pretty impressed, really, like, not by what I did that night, but that all this had happened, and that I had been, like, you know, recognized for it. I mean, people do good things all day, every day. They really do. I know that if you look at the world, it doesn't seem like they do, but frankly, if people didn't, this world would be in much worse shape. So, you know, I believe in the goodness of people. I believe in goodness and all of those things. And, you know, during that road trip, I really took the time to pray, to meditate. I wasn't fasting, but I was praying and meditating. And, like, pretty quickly, that $30,000 was gone. I mean, gone. I mean, we were living it up. We didn't stay in any hotels, my dog and I, or anything like that. But, I mean, I bought myself new clothes. I bought all the good food that I could possibly shove in my face. Got a bunch of stuff for my dog. Outfitted the car the way I needed it. Itchy nose again. And, I mean, we just lived it up. You know, we just did what we wanted. Stayed camping. We went camping in Humboldt, California for, like, you know, a week. And, I mean, I just, you know, I spent a lot of money on, I mean, where all that money went, gas, food, campsites, and firewood. Really, because that's really where it all went. Like, some new clothes, but I didn't buy much, and what I bought was pretty cheap. And, you know, so it was like the money was pretty much gone. I had saved, you know, enough to keep living, but not much. You know, I didn't have much. And I'm busy. You know, the money went fast, but I was so happy. I didn't really care. And like that, you know, I just kept living. I didn't really know what else to do. Came back to my hometown and just kept going. And one of the things I realized really quick, and I'm just going to be honest about this. It's not going to sound good, but I'm not here to sound good. I'm here to tell the truth. Even after $30,000 and a car and everybody telling me that I'm a hero and blah, 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 and everything, I still couldn't be grateful. I couldn't do it. It wasn't that I was ungrateful. I was very unhealed, and I was very unhappy, and so it didn't really matter. You could have dropped $1 million in my lap, and I wouldn't have been able to change my attitude, because I was a mess still from the grief and trauma that I'd been through. I was unhealed, like I said, and I didn't know. I couldn't do it, and I thought to myself, you know, if $30,000 and a new car, like not new, but like, you know, new to us, and all outfitted, like brand new engine, everything else, If that can't make me happy, then what's going to? And I thought, fuck, nothing, apparently. Like, this is a big deal. So I said about being grateful about everything. I mean, I was like, thank you, Lord, for the dirt between my right two front, my right two toes. I like, my big toe and my middle toe. Like, just thank you for everything. Just absurd things, thank you for not stubbing, for not letting, I would like, almost trip over because I bought these big old boots for the snow, and they were hard to walk in with my cramp on the snowshoes I had on my boots. And I found myself saying thank you, even before I got back to my hometown, saying thank you for everything. I mean, absurd shit, like absurd. Just thank you for. And I got to the point where I had been saying thank you for every little thing, that I got to the point where I was even able to be grateful for the pain I had been through, all of it, everybody dying, the accident, everything that led up until that point, things that happened in my childhood, my teenage years, my 20s, my 30s, and my 40s, grateful for it all. I mean, I couldn't find anything to not be grateful for. I could be grateful for even the shitty things that happened to me, the really shitty things. And I thought, this is like key, this is one of the keys. And I started to get happy. And then I found, I was grateful for everything. And, so then I realized still I wasn't very happy exactly. And I thought, I was still very concerned about the broken heart thing. So, because my heart was still not healed. And, I thought, well, I'm not really sure how to do this. So I came up the mountain and I stayed up here and I didn't come down for about approximately 60 days. And I know that sounds crazy. People will be like, oh, you can't fast for that long. Well, I did. Christ only fasted for 40 days. Well, yeah, but that's what it says. But like, you can do, I did it for longer than that. So I came up the mountain and I had dog food. Of course, if my dog wasn't fasting, I was. But I began exercising every day. I began meditating every day, more than once a day. I began praying all day, as much as I could, really. And I took my dog on a lot of walks and hikes and all kinds of stuff. And one day, I hiked up to a place that's like there's a path going off the road, and I thought, might as well. And my dog led me there. Not the other way around. She led me, and I followed her. And we got to this beautiful pond. It was just like in the middle of the forest, like not the forest. Sorry. And there's not really any forest up here. But I thought, what the heck? I'd never seen this pond before. I didn't know it was there. But she led me there, and so I had seen people. How people stack the rocks, and I didn't know what it was, but I built one, and I thought it was just kind of like a meditation thing. So I built this, and they're called cairns. But I built one that day. And I had a garnet necklace on that day. And I love crystals very much. I know a lot about them. I use them a lot in healing, and I use them a lot. I mean, I've been called a mystic, and I've been called a lot of things. But, like, mystic and psychic medium, channel, like all these things. So, I knew that my spiritual life was very rich. And I knew that was one of the things that was going to help me. So I said a prayer at this cairn, and I took off my garnet necklace, because garnets are great for grounding and grief, amongst other things. But that's what I was using them for. And my mother loved garnets. She loved them. So I had this garnet necklace on. I took it off, and I put it on the top rock around my cairn, and I walked away. It was a shrine to my grief. I could not get rid of it before then. Like, oh, I feel like I'm going to cry. I could not get rid of it before then. I was stuck. I was trapped. I was gone. I mean, I just couldn't. I could find great things to be grateful for, but I just couldn't really be happy. And I certainly didn't have any joy in my life. Not really. And, even though what I was doing was good for me. And I knew I'd gotten, really far, at that point in healing my own heart. And I was talking to a bereavement counselor at the time, and she was not just helpful, but it wasn't just her. It was my ability to talk to her about what I had been through. And I was getting a lot of positive feedback from her. I was listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks and all kinds of different stuff. And I was finding joy in my days, like real joy. I mean, undeniable joy. And my situation really wasn't much different. Now, mind you, the GoFundMe account was gone. I didn't have much money saved. I had maybe like, one or two, sorry, itchy nose. I had maybe $1,000 or $2,000 saved, not much. And, I was really just still living month to month, but I had this car. I had my dog. My dog and I had a great relationship at this point. We never had a bad relationship, but it just wasn't, yeah. Stop, Moo. Stop. It just wasn't as good as it is now. We didn't have that, like, intimate, affectionate relationship, where, like, we just look in each other's eyes and, like, oh, I love you too. She doesn't actually speak English, but I'm speaking for her. And so I thought, this is good. Like, I felt really good. And I quit smoking. I fasted for 2 months straight. No food. And I was telling people, I had started attending one of the churches in town, and I told them what I had been doing, and they said, well, that's I would tell them I went up the mountain to heal my broken heart, and I did. Stop, Mia. Stop. Sit down, baboos. No, we're not gonna cuddle right now. It's too warm anyway. I know, I just love you so much. I just think you're the bee's knees. The dogs bow wow and the cats meow. My boo, dinkum butt. I love you so much. We didn't have this kind of relationship, She's fucking awesome. I love my dog. She's the best. And, I like I said, I just wasn't happy, But finally I started finding joy, and I'm like, this is the shizness dizzle. Like, this is the best. And who doesn't want to feel good? Who doesn't want to feel good all the time or as much as possible? And who doesn't want to be joyful? Like, I don't know. So, I was really forced to examine my bullshit. And once I found so much joy in my life, I was like, I don't want to go back, like, ever. I never want to go back to being depressed, angry, anxious, cynical, jaded. None of that. I didn't want to do any of it. None of it. So I said, well, how can I sustain and maintain a healed heart and, this joy, sheer joy. Every day I would wake up and I was just happy to be awake. Just happy. Just happy, happy, happy. Couldn't bring me down for nothing. Even when my car burned, at the end of May, and thank goodness I had the support of a family from the church I'd been attending, and they put me and my dog up for 2 weeks because I needed the time to heal. My hand was very badly burnt. And, this was extraordinary to me. I couldn't believe that I was so happy. I was happy, like ridiculous happy. Like, I think people thought I was on drugs because I was so happy all the time, no matter what. My car had burnt and everything else. And I was just so happy that me and my dog were okay. Even though I was burnt and everything, I didn't care. I really didn't care. And I was really forced to look at what was super important to me. And what was really important to me was the health of me and my dog. The health and well-being and happiness of me and my dog. And so, I had been through this extraordinary journey so far. And I thought, I just want to sustain this as much as possible. Sustain and maintain this, regardless of anything else, and through the car fire and everything else, I was able to do that. And so I started to believe in the magic of God. I had never really lost my belief in God. I had never lost my faith in myself or God, but I had lost, stop, Meow, stop, Boo, stop. But I had lost, my, or is it going to be like that? Huh? Come here over here. But I had lost my, come on, get your butt out of the camera. Sorry. But I had lost my ability to be joyful. I didn't know. I could literally count on one hand the amount of times I had been happy in my life. That's how bad that was. And, oh, I love you. It's my angel in a dog suit. I'm not kidding when I say that. People think I'm joking, but I'm actually quite serious about it. Yo, my momos. Oh, my dinkum butt. I love you so much. And, so, I knew that being happy or getting happy was, getting joyful and blissful. And from there, it just went on to enlightenment. I mean, if you look at like the consciousness pyramid, right, there's like, it's like love, joy, bliss, enlightenment, ecstasy, and I think it goes on from there, but it doesn't, there's like, it's, I thought, I'm just going to do this for myself and nobody else is going to do it for me. And so I was able to sustain and maintain it. And I thought, this is the best. Like, it's the best. And all these months later, still in bliss mode, still in sustained joy and happiness and healed heart mode. I just want people to know that it's possible. It's not just possible, but if you put yourself to it, it's probable that you will get better. You will heal. You will see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, again. You will see your way out of it. You will see the unbelievable and undeniable dynamic power within yourself. You will regain everything you've lost. And not only does God replace what you did, but he upgrades that shit. Like, excuse me. I told God a while ago, I said, let me be your walking, talking miracle, and I will talk about you. I will talk about you. I will tell people what you did for me. That you saved my life. That you sent me a dog who saved my life. She taught me how to love again without fear. And like, this is intense, you guys. Like, I really thought I was going to die. I didn't know how. I didn't know how I was ever going to be okay. A year ago, if you had asked me if any of this was possible, I would have said, go fuck yourself. That's what I would have told you. I had been hurt by so many people so badly. I had been talked badly by so many people. People I didn't even know were talking badly about me. The people that I loved and cared about, they had abandoned me completely. They didn't believe in me at all. Even before the 6 weeks on drugs bullshit, trying to get into a treatment center. People left me. They had abandoned me. Everybody was dead. My mom was dead. My spiritual father was dead. The man I knew as my adult female father was dead. My brother was dead. Everybody was gone. My great aunt, who was one of my best friends, she was dead. My best friend, Mark, dead. All of this was so overwhelming to me, and I never thought I'd find a way out. Never. I never believed it. I didn't want to allow myself to believe it because I was so down that I had my hopes broken and promises broken so many times that I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't deal with it. I was so fucking done. I was fed up to here, just done. And I was barely hanging on as it was. I was suicidal at one point. And I didn't know how I was going to survive any of this. But I believed. I believed that God could save me. And I believe I could save myself with God's help. I believed that I could. And I believed that it was not just possible, but probable that I would at least do better if I went back to God. So I went up the mountain, like I told you. I healed my broken heart. And when I came down, people were looking at me like, what happened to you? I'm like, God happened to me. And I've always had that unwavering faith in God. I mean, unwavering. Like, you cannot shake me. Even in my darkest moments, I still believe in God. There is nothing, literally nothing. And certainly not now. There's nothing that anyone could ever do to me. Ever. And there's nothing even that God could do to me to make me not have faith in God. No one. And not faith and lose my faith in myself. Yeah, no. Yeah. Good luck. I don't believe in luck, but it's an extraordinary journey that I've been on, and it's so rewarding. I cannot even put it into words. It is a tremendous weight off my heart, my mind. My heart, mind healed. So incredibly happy. So incredibly passionate about living life. So incredibly passionate about helping other people. So incredibly serious about how am I going to, and the whole time I was thinking about, what I was doing, and I knew I was healing, and I knew I was getting free of the matrix. I knew I was awake more than I had ever been in my life. I knew I was happier, healthier, stronger, more confident, more unshakable than I'd ever been. Like fucking Bruce Lee unshakable, you know? Like water can crash or it can fall. Be like water can flow or it can crash. Be like water, my friends. You know, I was like that. I mean, I still am. And to be able to sustain and maintain that for the last 9 months straight and 14 months, like, you know, I was kind of messy. I was unhealed for some of that time. Like those 5 months, I was unhealed. But the last 9 months straight, nothing. Even when my car burnt, you still can't face this, you know. Like it was like MC Hammer, can't touch us, can't touch us. That became my theme song for a long time. I was posting it on Twitter and shit like that. Like, but that was real. I mean, it's still very much real. It's not fake. It's not pretending. I'm not telling you some bullshit that I don't believe. I'm not preaching to be anything that I'm not. And like, I'm really proud of myself. Like, you know, even the low parts and the dark parts that I've been through, you know, I integrated all those shadows. So if you want to criticize or like, you know, whatever, but you're really just being a hypocrite yourself. You know, I mean, even if it's not hypocritical in the exact same circumstances, yeah, there's some other like part of your life that you're unhealed, unhappy, and unfulfilled in. So go on, rock on with your bad self. You know, like I said, whatever energy you send towards me, I support you in that. Whether it's good or bad, I support you in that. You know, people that want to stay unhealed, people that want to be hurting, people that want to be depressed, people that want to be critical of others, because that's a spirit. You know, I mean, not everything. I don't look at like everything's a spirit, but it is to some extent. It is. You know, as above, so below. You know, and so mote it be, or amen, means the same thing. It means I believe. It means it's, and so it is. It's done. That's what amen means. I believe. So whether you're religious or spiritual or somewhere in between, or maybe you're neither, and maybe you're just like a human mentat, you know, like a human computer. There's truth in what I'm saying. There's so much truth in what I'm saying. I'm not telling you anything that I haven't done myself. I'm not telling you anything that I haven't not only done and not only done and sustained myself, but I still maintain it and I still believe it. It's the truth today as much as it was 9 months ago, as much as it was, you know, a year ago, as much as it's always been the truth. I just had to find it, and I had to be able to relate it to other people, and also be a healed person myself, because frankly, you know, like I saw, you know, I there's a woman named Marianne Williamson. Maybe some of you know who she is. I've spent time in that woman's house. I've babysat her daughter. I've spent a lot of time in her house. One of my ex-boyfriends was her private chef for a number of years. And I spent a lot of time around that woman. A lot. But like, it was probably 6 months before I read one of her books. I had no idea. I knew she was an author, but I didn't know what she wrote. I had no idea. And so I remember I picked, and one of the bookshelves in her house was all just her books. It's kind of an odd thing, but whatever. But I remember picking up one of her books, and oh my God, I cringed, because in the moment that I read the first page, I was like, this person is so hypocritical. And that, like, you know, there are always going to be, you know, as long as you're human, basically, there's always going to be parts of our lives that we are hypocritical in. But to the point where I would never go to that person for guidance, ever. Never. For anything. Like, ever. And, you know, when I saw that she was running for Democratic nominee, I thought, oh my God. Like, go in the front, honey. Go in the front. You're too warm, so you're making me warm too. Go on, take your booty buns up there. Go on, caboose. Take your caboose up there. And stop. Stay there. I never wanted to be like that. That was something that I wanted. That was another thing that I said about doing, was I want to do this. I want to remember all of it and be able to reiterate it so clearly and so precisely and so simply. Stop, okay? Sit down. Sit down, Momo. Sit down. So that other people can find their way, so that I can make a roadmap that's not only easy to follow, but simple. Sit down, Momo. Sit. 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 Go on, sit. All right. Sit down, Baboose. Sit down, lovey. But I wanted to be able to, oh God. I wanted to be able to help other people. My hand, like, I feel grimy from the sweat and like a little bit like a layer of dirt on my face and hands. Oh my God. So, oh God. Ugh. But, I wanted to be able to help others. You know, I mean, there was no part of me, there was never a moment where I didn't want to be able to help others. The thing about when I was going through this gnarly awakening, you know, like coming fully awake, fully alive, I didn't know how to make a roadmap. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what I was going to do. I wasn't completely healed yet. And not only healed, but maintained that healing for a long period of time. Long enough to have a baby anyway, 9 months, right? And I didn't know how to do that. But I let all that go. I let it aside, you know, attachments, let them go. And I focused on getting through it myself. And I knew that if I could get through it myself, that I could help others. And so I set about that. I just kept doing what I was doing, and I figured that by doing it myself, I was actually helping others, which is true, because when you raise your vibration, you're helping everyone around you. Whether you see it or not, doesn't matter. You're helping, always helping. So, you know, I you know, all these months later, and I started this YouTube channel and, you know, started talking. I mean, because I kept asking God, like, what do I do? And I kept asking my higher self, like, what do I do? What do I do? And they said, talk. Just talk. Just open your mouth and talk. I'm like, well, I can do that. You know, public speaking and everything else. And of course I was self-conscious about my teeth and everything else. I still am to some extent. You'll see me covering my mouth when I smile and that kind of thing. But, you know, I really just, what I have to offer is worth so much more than anything anybody could ever say about me, to me, or any freaking thing else. Like, ever. You know, there's just nothing in me that is going to question my ability to help you. And I like, because I help myself. And I know damn good and well that if I can help myself, I certainly can help other people. And maybe it's just simply by being a good example, because that's all I ever could do before was, you know, I had a younger brother and sister that I grew up with. And I didn't really know how to be a good example with them because I wasn't a parent. I was a child raising 2 kids with my mom, of which I've never gotten any credit for. I got credit for it from my mother and brother, but never from my younger sister. Oh my God, unhealed. Anyway, but I'm not saying that in a critical or what is the word, mean way. It's simply it's a compassionate, empathetic thing. You know, I really just don't. You know, I don't sympathize with people. I empathize with them, because to sympathize with them is to get in their sick bed with them, and I just simply won't do that. I swear, like, my tan looks darker because I have all this dirt on my skin. So, you know, like, when you're going through the healing journey, keep in mind that it may not look great. It may look like shit, actually. It may look scary, pathetic, and weird, and you'll get criticized, and people will hurt you. And you know, they'll say stupid things, they'll do stupid things, and you know what? All I can really say to that is do what you know, and, you know, to go within, so you never have to go without. Go within, because you never have to go without that way. When you love yourself, there is nothing else. I mean, it's not about any kind of, like, narcissistic or destructive self-love. It's real love. It's real love, because nobody's ever going to love you the way that you do. Not even your own mother. She just can't do it. You know, she can't. It's not that kind of thing. It cannot be replaced. It cannot be bought. It cannot be. You have to teach yourself, and that's all there is. I know that it seems kind of like a tall order, and it is to begin with, but you'll get there. Don't give up on yourself. Never give up on yourself. There was one person who stayed my friend. One. Only one. Through all that time, he listened to all my crazy delusional shit that was going on at the time. I mean, not all of it was delusional, but, you know, when I was being stalked and things like that, it was so intense, and it was so horrible for me, and I knew I was so alone, but he didn't leave me alone. He was there. He picked up the phone, and he's dying. His body is dying of cancer, and he's on the East Coast. He's not even, you know, anywhere near me, but he took the time to answer the phone. He took the time to listen. He took the time to believe most of what I was saying, which a lot of it was true. But I was, you know, again, it was so hard to tell what was, you know, even without that 6 weeks of drugs, it was so hard to tell what was really happening, because I couldn't tell who was doing what anymore. I'd had a house, up north where I'd been living, and I had been, run out of that house, but not directly. The people had stolen the house from the owner and then run me out of the house by scaring me, intimidating me, harassing me, breaking into the house, doing all kinds of things. Of course, I didn't have the support of the law, the sheriff's department in Napomo, California. And I mean, I know the sheriffs knew, some of them at least knew what was going on there. And if they knew, that means that the judge who signed off on the eviction notice that I got, he knew too. And if he knew, then the lawyer who the man Timothy J. Hutchinson was had hired, he knew too. And if he knew, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, my fucker, pew pew pew, you know, and like that. So I lost my business. I mean, I had a great and thriving art business. Even during COVID, I was doing great. They knew that my brother had died. They knew that my great aunt had died. They knew that my Uncle James, they knew everybody had died, and still they persisted. And it was all over greed, all money and real estate. These fucking people, these shitty, horrible people. They're horrible people. And what they don't really realize, or maybe they do now, is that they curse themselves by being the people that they are. They curse not only themselves, but their children, their children's children, and their children's children's children. Like, it's not even up to me. I could sit here and curse you all day long, which I don't, because I got better things to do, like pick my nose. But I could do all that, and it wouldn't matter really, because at the end of the day, you did it to yourselves. And like all the people who didn't believe in me, how'd that work out for you? You know, kind of thing. And like, I'm not even gonna play small to anyone or pretend like I'm, unrealistically humble. I'm a very humble person, and at the same time, I will not play small to you. I will not say that I'm not a hero, because I am. I will not say that I'm not amazing, because I am. I will not say that I'm not strong as fuck, because I am. I will not say that I'm like, I think I'm the shit. You know, in my own little universe, I am. And like, I earned that. I worked for it hard. I mean, I nearly died a couple times. You know, not only did the people in Napomo nearly kill me, and they were trying to kill me. They wanted me to die. They wanted me to crawl away and die and go away, because they wanted this money. They wanted to steal this house and the property too. Pieces of shit. By their own doing. Nothing I did. Pieces of shit. The DeChance family. Mary, Roger, and Sean DeChance of San Luis Obispo, California. Yeah, have fun with that. And they have, when I've looked them up online, they had not only the money, but the technological wherewithal to do what they did to me. Oh yeah, I know more than you ever wanted me to. So, not to you guys, but to those people, yeah. Can't touch us. Near. Yeah. And I don't even care. Like, that's the thing. I just don't care. And it's not because I'm apathetic. It's because I know what I do care about. I care about me, my dog, God, and everything else can pretty much go fuck itself. Because nobody that was there for us. You know, there's one, like I said, there's one person, and I pray for a lot of people, including the DeChance family, believe it or not. I don't wish them any ill. I just know that they're ill people. Like, they're dangerous people. Timothy J. Hutchinson, asshole, total loser. And I know that if they did it to me, I wasn't the only one they did it to, because they had a team of people. I have since explained that situation, what happened to me, what I experienced there, and I've had professionals tell me it sounds like a psyop, military grade psyop, what they did to me. I mean, stop me, to the point where I nearly died. My dog nearly died. I mean, it wasn't funny. The things that they did to me were so extraordinarily fucked. I mean, they conducted psychological warfare on me, is what they did. Spiritual warfare and psychological warfare, because I know that they were not saying anything nice to me, nice about me, or anything else. Not to me, but because I never really spoke with them. These people are horrible, and you can tell how unhealed they are, because when you're willing to hurt another person to gain everything, to gain whatever it is you want to gain. I mean, people kill each other over $5. We all see these stories on the news and things like that. But like, when you are willing to hurt somebody so badly that is already so hurt from their entire family dying, from losing their business, from their ex, losing the love of, their love. Fuck you. Like, fuck you, fuck your mom, your dog, your cat, your sister's cousin's bird. That's how bad you are. Like, I don't even, not, I cannot, I will not. No. You guys are. Shampoo press gets you out of my hair. Fuck you. You guys are shitty fucking people. All up one side and down the other. You're just buttered with shit. Up one side and down the other. Nasty. I mean, those people tried to kill me. I'm not even kidding. So, I have fun with your house and the property and everything else. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm going to tell the truth about all of it. So if you don't want the truth told, you shouldn't have done what you did, you dipshits. And like, you know, even with some of the darker stuff in my past, you know, having integrated all those shadows, there's nothing that they could ever do to me again, ever, or anyone else could ever do to me again, that will ever bring me as low as I was then. Never. So, you know, I want this message to be one of hope, and everything I've been through, the gang stalking, the harassment, losing my home in Napomo, you know, I mean, that home was left to me. Of course, it was verbal. I didn't have anything in writing because Jerry Murphy, Mr. Jerry Murphy, wouldn't sign anything. He was so paranoid. He wouldn't sign anything for anything. I took care of his beloved dog, Honey Bear. I think that dog was the only thing he ever cared about in the whole fucking world. His son tried to kill him. Jeremy Murphy tried to kill him. He was locked up in prison. I don't know if he still is for that. But in the state of California, he can't inherit the house, so there wasn't anyone to inherit that. And the people who did the title jumping, which is what it's called, they knew that. They knew way more than I would. I had to play catch up, and I did figure out a lot of it. I mean, these people had cameras in the house where I was living. And no permission. None. No permission at all. None. Totally scandalous. Ugh. And, like, you're not worthy to eat my dog's shit. That's how bad those people are. That's how bad they are. Really, though. I'm not even kidding. And, but the message is hope. That, you know, even after going through all these things, I'm not only alive, but I have no mental health problems. I'm not taking any prescription medication. I'm not suffering in any way. I'm happy and joyful every day. I exercise every day, meditate every day, pray every day. You know, my dog and I are very much in love, you know, and like, I'm sitting around waiting for my kingdom spouse. So who wins? You got the house, but you don't have a soul. You know? So, like, you know, it's also, I mean, it's a message of hope, but it's also a message of you can go this way or go that way. It's really up to you. Everybody has their own free will. You can do your own thing. I did. And I did it alone with God and my dog. That was it. There were people that helped us. The community here, you know, raised $30,000 for me. And yes, that was help. But there was no one to give me a hug, to tell me I was going to be okay. There was no one to just hug me and tell me, you're going to be all right. There was one friend who kept picking up the phone, and that was it. But in that, I found hope. Even in that, even in the horrible darkness of it all. Stop, Mia. Stop. It's too warm. It's too warm to sit together. Stop. Stop. The camera. I need you to move, Livy. Honey, come on. Come up. Come back. Come on. You know, even through all of the horrible, dire, horrible, I mean, deadly. Stop, Mia. I don't want to cuddle. It's too warm for that. Up. Let me go in the front then. Even through all of that, I was able to stay, oh, jeez. I was able to stay humble, happy, healed, and everything else. So, you know, it's really up to you how you want to live. It's always up to you. You don't let anybody take that choice from you, because the moment you give up that choice, you're giving it up. No one can take it from you. And I didn't understand all of these things at the time when I was going through the house being stolen in Napomo and all that kind. I didn't know. I didn't understand it all. So, I usually am a very modest person, so don't talk shit about me wearing a bikini top. I would like to see you sit in a car trying to avoid the flies outside in 90-degree weather and not be, like, as little clothed as possible. So, you know, but, like, usually I'm a very modest person. I don't hang out in my bikini top, especially when I'm videotaping, but it's just too freaking warm, and this message is too important to give a shit. So, you know, make sure you're doing what's important. Make sure you're not only doing what's important to you, but what's going to serve the people around you too. And if you're not there yet, just do whatever you can. Because sometimes we can't do anything that's good. Sometimes we're just in a pile of shit and we just don't want to do any good. All right, then do that. But whatever it is, keep your eye on the prize, and you are the prize. Don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever quit. Don't, be depressed, be anxious, whatever it is you're going through, but don't give up on yourself. It's when all the people can give up on us, but when we give up on ourselves, it's like, it's something else. How did I get caught up here? You're worth it. Everybody is, even the shitty people, even the chances. They're still human beings, and I'm sure that what they did, they felt completely justified in, and they did it for their own reasons. Still doesn't make it right, but I'm sure that they had their own reasons, whatever it was, money and greed. But at the end of the day, it's not worth losing your soul, and that's really what's at stake, is your soul, not anybody else's, not anything else, because you can't take anything with you. Nobody can. I mean, look at the friggin' ancient pharaohs. All those tombs, and they couldn't take a fucking one gold coin with them. Not one sip of water, not one breath of air. So, what's really important, keep that in mind. Keep doing that. If you can't do anything good, do something that's at least better than you did the day before. Breathe. Mia, stop. Stop, Mia. Breathe. And know that you're loved. Even if you're in a horrible pile of shit fucking existence, you're still worth it. You're worth it. You're worth more than you think you are. And, even the chances, as much as those people hurt me, and they really tried to kill me. I don't know if it was the chances. I haven't put an exact name, but those people knew what was going on. They were not ignorant. They knew. They knew what was going on. They knew what they were doing. And I don't believe they were ignorant. But even if they were, it still doesn't change the fact that they have to pay for what they did. Being ignorant is no excuse. And the authorities in San Luis Obispo County, as well as the judges that signed off on those papers, and other people too that knew what was going on. Karma is a bitch, so I don't have to be. And karma is also a really lovely, beautiful thing. When it's good karma, of course. But either way, it's all going to be served up on a platter. So make sure you make the right decisions for yourself, because nobody else can do that for you. Nobody else can make those choices for you. And make sure that, you're on the right side of things that you want to be on. If you want to be harvesting a bunch of really shitty karma for the next several generations of your life, do that. If that's what you want, go do it. If you want to really harvest a healed, wonderfully beautiful, ecstatically joyful, I would even say angelic life with God as your best friend and your dog too, then go the other way. Do the good things. It's really up to us. We have complete free will all the time. And with that, I will say love, blessings, and compassion to everyone. Everyone, literally. Even and especially the assholes, because they're operating out of fear. They don't know anything else. Very unhealed. So that's kind of a background to where I'm coming from. And I hope it resonates with someone. God bless you.